people reject truths that are right in front of them.
Well, it really is the defining paradox of the human condition, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, welcome to this deep dive, everyone. Today we are exploring a really profound text titled The Twin Sentinels of the Occupied Mind.
Right. And, our mission here is to challenge your foundational assumptions about ignorance. We want to uncover why genuine wisdom so often struggles to enter the mind.
Yeah, regardless of how intelligent you might be, because we usually operate under this assumption that the human mind is essentially a rational calculating machine.
Exactly. We
That,
think, if you just give someone the facts, if you lay out the empirical evidence clearly, their intelligence will naturally just guide them to the correct conclusion.
right, like an algorithm.
Yeah.
Input the data,
Yeah.
and the right worldview just sort of outputs automatically.
But reality tells a very different story.
It does. We see brilliant individuals, leaders, highly educated people just clinging to disproven ideas, and to understand why we have to kind of dismantle our traditional metaphor for ignorance.
We do. Because, well, most people navigate life assuming that ignorance exists simply because the truth is hidden from them.
Right, like they're in a dark, empty room.
Yes, exactly. And the assumption is, if I just introduce the light of new information, the darkness will vanish. But the framework we're exploring asks us to consider something much more unsettling.
What if the primary obstacle to wisdom isn't the absence of truth? What if the real obstacle is attachment?
Because the mind is not an empty vessel waiting for facts. It is already occupied.
Occupied and heavily defended.
Right. And because it's occupied, human beings construct a reality that they fiercely protect. This text posits that there are two specific forces acting as sentinels.
Like invisible guards standing at the gates of your perception.
Yes, they relentlessly filter reality. And the chilling part is they operate almost entirely below your conscious awareness.
So let's examine the first of these two gatekeepers. The first sentinel that the mind will protect at almost any cost is, well, gratification.
Right. And when we hear that word, we immediately think of physical desires. But it's broader than that. It's the mind's relentless drift toward what feels
So
rewarding.
it's the psychological pull.
Exactly. The text describes the forms this reward takes as a kind of sweetness. And it's incredibly alluring.
So we're talking about what? Pleasure and comfort.
Pleasure, comfort, sure. But it's also the approval of your peers. It's the entertainment you consume to avoid silence. It's status, excitement, achievement.
And validation, right.
Oh, absolutely. Social validation is a massive one. Every single one of these triggers a specific psychological sweetness.
Okay, but I want to push back on the logic here for a second, because if the consequences of a bad habit are completely obvious, why doesn't the suffering eventually outweigh that sweetness?
Well, because experiencing this sweetness creates a really dangerous attachment.
But I mean, think of an analogy. It's like staring at a fire while your hand is literally burning, but refusing to pull away because the warmth feels comforting.
That is a perfect analogy. You're asking why they don't just look at the burning hand and pull back.
Right. If the destruction is obvious, why stay?
It happens because when something provides gratification, we immediately stop examining it honestly. We become hyper-focused on what the habit gives us.
And totally blind to what it costs us.
Exactly. The truth is visible, the consequences are obvious, yet the mind just continues the behavior because that core gratification is still being actively protected.
So the sentinel doesn't care about the burn. It only cares about maintaining the warmth.
Right. The intellect can see the destruction, but the sentinel of gratification just overrules it.
Wow. Okay, so that's the first barrier. We are protecting what feels good. But the dialogue in the text transitions from what feels good to, well, what feels familiar.
Yes, the allure of gratification is strong, but the fortress of the second sentinel is even more formidable.
The second massive obstacle is belief.
Right. Because human beings rarely see reality directly. We view the world through a really dense filter.
A filter made of our opinions, right?
Opinions, assumptions, conclusions. It's built from your personal narratives and, ultimately, your identity.
Which sets up this immediate mental reflex when new information appears.
Exactly. When a new idea comes along, the unoccupied mind would ask, is this true?
But the occupied mind doesn't do that. Instead, it asks, does this agree with what I already believe?
Yes. That is the ultimate question it uses to filter reality.
I like to think of this mechanism like an aggressive bouncer at the door of your mind.
A bouncer, yeah, that's a great visual.
Right. If the new idea isn't on the guest list of your pre-existing worldview, the bouncer just instantly rejects it. It doesn't matter how well-dressed the idea is or how factual it is.
It's denied entry. And we can look at the anatomy of that resistance. What happens when the answer to that reflex question is no?
The bouncer gets physical, arguments appear out of thin air, right?
Exactly. Defenses and elaborate rationalizations are constructed. And the deepest psychological insight from the text is that this resistance isn't really about the evidence at all.
It's about identity.
Right. The existing belief has become merged with the person's identity. To abandon the belief feels like losing a literal piece of yourself.
That is heavy. It's like an amputation of the ego.
It is. And this is why truth alone rarely changes people. If accepting a fact means destroying a part of who you are, the bouncer will fight to the death to keep it out.
So let's synthesize these obstacles. We have these two gatekeepers. Picture the truth standing directly in front of you.
Right. It's right there. But gratification is pulling you in one direction.
Right, towards what feels rewarding.
Yeah.
And then belief is pulling you in another direction.
Towards what feels familiar.
And together, these forces form this incredibly powerful filter. One protects what feels good, the other protects what feels familiar.
And between them, wisdom struggles to enter.
It really does. It struggles because genuine understanding requires you to sacrifice those things.
Exactly. It builds to this central realization. The greatest obstacles to wisdom are often not outside us.
They aren't a lack of data.
No. They are the things we are unwilling to question. The things we are unwilling to surrender.
The things we are unwilling to surrender, that is profound. And for you listening, genuine understanding can really only begin when you become willing to honestly examine both of those sentinels.
Right. You have to question the things you believe and the things you enjoy.
Because until then, as the text warns, the truth can remain entirely visible while remaining completely unseen.
It's just standing there waiting for the sentinels to stand down.
Yeah. So we want to challenge you today to observe your own sentinels in action. Notice the bouncer at the door of your mind.
Notice when you chase that sweetness.
Exactly. Keep an eye on the gates of your own perception. Because we want to leave you with this. What if the truth is not hidden at all? What if the real challenge is letting go of what stands in front of it?